Nobody likes to talk about persecution or hard times. Nobody even wants to hear about it or think about it. But I believe it's something as men of God we need to be prepared for. I believe it could happen in our future. And in order to prepare for it, we have to look at the examples that have gone before us. And one of the greatest examples of a man who rode or died with God no matter what, even in the face of persecution, was Stephen. Stephen was one of the early men after Jesus was sent to heaven in the book of Acts. He was one of the earlier disciples, the followers, who kind of came into the church and helped them get going. And he was drugged into the court of the times to say, why are you preaching about this Jesus? You got to stop doing it. You got to stop saying this stuff. The religious leaders were coming against him saying, you can't believe what you believe. You can't say what you say. You have to say what we want you to say and believe. And then they gave him a chance to respond. And he just, in that moment, spoke with the power of the Holy Spirit. And he laid out throughout the entire nation of Israel's history how God constantly sent prophets and helpers to the nation of Israel, and how they constantly rejected God's prophets, rejected God's ways, and refused to follow God. And he ended by saying, and then he sent his own son, and he did it again. You rejected him, you ignored him, you killed him. You need to believe the truth that he was resurrected and that he's in heaven, and he's the only way to get salvation. Your laws and your ways aren't going to do it. Only Jesus could do it. And they didn't want to hear it. And as he spoke these words, they became so angry and so infuriated. They drug him outside the city and they stoned him to death. And as he was being stoned, he looked up to heaven in the moments before he died, and he said, I can see Jesus at the right hand of God. And he said to Jesus, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. Now, I hope we never get to the point where we are persecuted to the point of death. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But even now, we're starting to see persecution coming at God's children. Whether it become from the world who tells us you can't believe that, you can't say that, that's hate speech, that's bigotry, when all we're doing is standing on God's principles. When we kind of expose light into the darkness, the world doesn't want to hear it, and they don't like it, and they send persecution our way. Whether it be progressive Christianities who want those woke cookies, and they don't want to hear that they have to do it God's way, and they say, you're the problem, you're the one who's sinning, you're the one who's wrong, we're right. And they may persecute us, and they can persecute us even harder because their attitude is, we're Christians and we don't live that way, so that proves you really are wrong. In those moments, we have to say, God, no matter what persecution I face, I'm going to ride or die with you. No matter what they say about me, no matter if they try to cancel me, no matter if they try to come against me or ruin my business or ruin my life, or in the worst case scenario, try to take my life. God, give me the strength to ride or die with you. That's the kind of men God needs. That's the kind of man Stephen was. We need to follow his example and be a ride or die man of God.